Just the way it goes. Just the way it goes. Degrees.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another awesome episode of the Hookup On Music podcast. Before we get to the awesome shenanigans of while we are here tonight, we're just going to rock. I am joined by a fellow Penguin, Brian, Magnificent Stan. How's it going, my man?
Hello, my friend. It's wonderful to finally be on with you here. It's a long time coming, right?
It's a pleasure to finally have you. And the man who has brought us together tonight, which is very, very exciting, and I'm very glad to have him. How you doing, Andrew? Comic punk guy?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm really excited to kind of have this conversation because it all stemmed from a text that I had sent Brian at 2 o'clock in the morning of I just heard Gratitude by the Beastie Boys for the 100th millionth time.
No.
But something about this particular time listening to it, I think it's the excitement over Clutch's new album and the excitement of trying to get in to go see them in October, is that the bass line and the kind of composition around that and Gratitude to me reflected could be absolutely mimicked in the style of Clutch. And that's what I sent Brian. I was like, can you imagine Clutch covering the song? And that's what we're doing here today.
Yeah, they would put a really nice soulful spin on it too, that whole heavy what would you call it, heavy blues? That's kind of what it is. It's almost like a hardcore rockabilly, you know.
Well, it's ironic that you bring up Clutch because that last time they were in town, I think it was, when did they come through? Was it March?
It was last October, November.
Yeah, October. That's when it was. I went through the whole catalog. So when you put up Space Grass, man, that was a song, man, I played quite a lot.
Yep. And
Gratitude, man, I mean, I remember that song playing on 120 minutes over. I mean, honestly, that's, So What You Want was.
I don't think Andrew knows what 120 minutes is because he's younger than us. But
it was out in front of the masses.
It was your source for alternative, before alternative rock really started. It was your source on MTV was it was just a music video show, but it was only the cool people listened to, watched and listened to it. It's they used to make comp CDs, and that's how I heard They Might Be Giants. I'd never heard before. A lot of really, really cool bands that came out in the late 80s, early 90s came through 120 minutes. And it was called 120 minutes because obviously it was a 2-hour show. So.
Yeah. It was Headbangers Ball was on Saturday night, which was
right.
heavy metal, and this was on Sunday night, which was
right.
Cool
it was it was the hipster version of Headbangers Ball, you know.
Which I got this stay up and sneak up in my bedroom, and watch it and shit.
Right.
12 and stuff. That was the good old days, which that's not around at all anymore.
Yeah.
But
music's not around anymore. Story for another time.
But really quick before we get started on this topic on which we are here, Comic Punk Guy, what is the first album that you remember, awesome album that you remember owning? The very first one. I know.
And the very first one. I think the first album that I ever bought, I think, was Franz Ferdinand's self-titled. That was the first. I was a teenager. I just started getting my own money and stuff. I bought that, and I bought Good News for People Who Love Bad News on the same day. So I think they came out the same day.
Oh, I remember those are great.
Yeah.
I mean, especially the Modest Mouse one is really, really good. Franz Ferdinand had some really good tracks on it.
Underrated band for sure.
Was.
That Modest Mouse album was like their first real studio big label release. It was a good one.
I probably listen to Bukowski more than any other Modest Mouse song that I've ever listened. Just I don't know why I like that song a lot. And that's
I had my sister's boyfriend in college was like a huge indie rock nerd, and he'd make me tapes and CDs and shit, and that's how I found out Modest Mouse, and it's like way before that even. So like I thought I was kind of cool when Modest Mouse came out, and they were like really cool because like I've been listening to these guys for like 5 years, you know.
That's true. Yeah. Oh yeah. How about you, Brian? What's the first album you remember?
First album, I was It was like 10 maybe. Pretty sure we were at Rose Records actually. I picked up Faith No More, We Care a Lot.
Oh.
So like Faith No More was starting to get big at that point. Like The Real Thing had just come out. And I wanted to get that, but they didn't have it in or whatever. So I was like, oh, let me try this one. And We Care a Lot's phenomenal. I mean, different singer, obviously, more before Mike Patton, but
still a great album.
Big album, yeah.
Ironically, Faith No More was also my first album, and it was Angel Dust. I still have the cassette. It's like all like beat up and stuff, but really,
you keep everything though, don't you?
You know what it is?
You just got every.
You know what it is? It's like I went away for a while and sat there for 25 years in a closet, and then when I came back to it, it was like, this is here? Wow. Which generally, if it would have came with me,
my Moss Man action figure is right next to my REM Orange Crush. Like, come on, man.
I got two Moss Man. I'm gonna let you have one.
That thing smelled something awful.
It picks up a lot of lint.
For those of you that weren't 80s kids, Moss Man was a character from He-Man, and the actual action figure had like fake moss on it, and it smelled like shit. And I loved it. I don't know.
It was good. It was a good action figure. All right. So tonight, why we are here, as alluded to earlier by Andrew, want to go ahead and explain one more time what we're doing?
Yeah, so we're taking songs that we like, that when we hear them, we can see in our mind's eye them being covered by another artist. So like we were saying before, the bass line that runs through Gratitude by the Beastie Boys really echoes some of the bass lines that you see in Clutch's structure of their music, and that's how we got here.
Which is I got a list of like 30 artists here too that I feel like I could just pull songs randomly. Like this is something that, like, if we were doing a telethon, I could go like hours, I think, on this.
There's
definitely a fun kind of fusion situation where
makes you think a little bit too.
Right.
It was hard to narrow it down because, of course, then you start thinking of funny things, like if like the B-52s covered Raining Blood by Slayer, like what that would sound like.
That is,
just tambourines, like Raining Blood.
Raining blood. Raining blood.
That's good. No, that's exactly that's perfect.
I kind of have one of those in my my selections tonight.
Yeah, that's all right. Do you want to pull? Do you have that chart ready?
Yeah,
pull that up.
Making random nonsense on Google Docs is, I'm like, that's me as to Yumper making those pictures of everybody.
You guys are great. You guys are amazing at doing this.
I mean, it's crude, but you know.
Hey, I like it.
Bam,
perfect. Love
there
it.
you go.
So what are we gonna do then? We're gonna go
we'll go back and forth.
One. Okay, perfect.
We'll start at the bottom and we'll work our way to the top, and we'll do it like that.
Okay. And then you had a screen with the actual songs that, right?
Yes, I have this.
So
yeah,
let's
so
just
go back and forth.
Yeah, we can just pivot back and forth. Okay.
Yeah.
And then hang on a second. I just want to see how do I. Okay. So yeah, you can just go back and grab that one when as we go.
Sounds good.
I think on StreamYard.
So yeah, and also if anyone who's watching, if you want to listen to this, just go to Spotify, look up Comic Punk Guy, and it's a public playlist, so you can see.
We'll link it. We'll link it after the show
we're gonna
too.
drop
So
this
yeah,
list
that's no
definitely.
problem.
It was a great idea. They actually, now that I think you've started, I'm gonna keep. It's a great idea.
Yeah, I already had covers on the mind because we just did.
Yeah, you did a good one. You were actually the one who started putting
that was
whole.
So much fun, man.
That was a great episode.
Fun.
Great time.
All right, who's going first here?
Go ahead, Andrew.
So I'll start with the one that I think made that. I think if you go look at the list, you can see exactly where I was kind of going, maybe. But I had The Fixer by Pearl Jam being covered by the Foo Fighters.
Oh.
And it was when I first heard The Fixer, I thought it was a Foo Fighters song based on the opening. Worldwide Suicide. It was really hard to pick this between Worldwide Suicide and The Fixer because I hear a lot of Dave Grohl centered like drum beats and flowing guitars in it, and it's almost like you can tell. Like I thought for a minute that maybe he was like maybe he worked on it as a producer or something. Like his like Ghosts cover of If You Have Ghosts, you can hear like Dave Grohl is not credited for it because it's all Nameless Ghouls and stuff, but Dave Grohl produced that song. You can tell from the beginning of the song to the end of the song that it's completely done in his style, and I think that the Foo Fighters style would really work with The Fixer. It's structured to me like a Foo Fighters song would be.
So when I saw your selection, so what we did, just so everybody knows, we picked. We're kind of doing this blind a little bit. We picked a song that we're going to cover, but we also picked and put it on the playlist a song from the band that's covering it. So it's all kind of blind to us. When I saw you did Rope, I thought of, and I saw you have Local H song on there. I thought you were doing Local H covering Rope because that would sound fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, it would too. So, like there's
that's
a lot of two ways. Like
right,
if bands covering each other, like going in like a song, like there was Foo Fighters songs that I've heard that I'm like, man, Eddie Vedder would kill this song.
Yeah,
and it's a fun like kind of brain tease thing to go like, man, what would that actually sound like?
Right.
Both songs, really awesome songs that I've listened to quite a lot. That Pearl Jam song, that would definitely be good by the Foo Fighters. Good pick.
Right on.
Awesome. All
right. You want me to go now?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with my really weird, crazy one, okay? So I noticed you guys, I'm sure you guys probably noticed that I have My Heart Goes On by Celine Dion.
I did see
on
that,
my list. Okay. I want fucking Motorhead playing that shit.
Ooh.
That'd be fucking great.
Yeah, far wherever. Come on, man.
My heart.
Right. With that, like, I mean, obviously he's gone now, but that throaty, raspy, crazy, pill-riddled.
I want to hear it that fast, like sped up into like Motorhead.
Right, and then you had that like it, and again, Motorhead had kind of like that blues influence in the background of it too. It's like, like they could make it work. So I'm going.
I think that's an excellent pick. Definitely, when I saw My Heart Will Go On, I thought so many of these bands on this list could. That's as cool as you could start mentally envisioning many people doing many different things with a lot of these different
songs.
Exactly.
So I have a little bit of a story. I used to work. Well, it's a company I'm still working for, but when I was and I used to be a salesman for the company. I used to do phone sales, and when you're sitting in a room with like 15 other people doing phone sales, you guys get pretty close because I mean you're fucking sitting there dialing phones all day and you're bullshitting with the guy next to you. Well, I had this guy next to me named Steve, and Steve was in a Norwegian death metal band, and we were just joking around one day. He's like, hey, name a song for me to cover. He goes, any song in the world, and I'm going to cover it for you and record it. And I'm like, all right. Like, do the fucking Reading Rainbow song. And he's like, what? I'm like, Reading Rainbow. I honestly, and he did it for me. And I wish that I still had the recording because I would just play it right now. Because to hear this, like, demon voice, like, butterfly in the sky. You're just like, holy shit, this is amazing. But this is that kind of comparison. I feel like is Lemmy singing Celine Dion. So
that's really good. That's an excellent pick. I probably won't get it out of my head for a couple days because I love.
I was thinking
Lemmy,
about the Reading Rainbow thing like all day. I'm like, oh, I got to talk about that.
Imagining Lemmy doing Reading Rainbow now was something like mixing it all
Been
together.
a good one too.
Oh yeah. Excellent pick. All right. What I'm gonna go with here is Johnny Cash. For a while here was doing these covers. He did Personal Jesus. He did
all those American recording albums.
Oh yeah, he's been doing a lot of different stuff like that before he passed away. So what I've recently been really on this Iron Maiden kick. So going along with this, I'm gonna do Johnny Cash doing Run to the Hills.
Oh, that would be awesome. And that like stripped down acoustic. Man, that especially on those American records, like they're so good because they're so simple.
That's what
it's just him.
That's why, and also, in the 70s, he was a really big spokesperson for, standing up for, for different rights and stuff like that. And the song, goes that kind of stuff. So I think it would be a good, imagining Johnny sing it. Why not? Something ridiculous. It's my first ridiculous pick here. I find more funny ones like you were talking about earlier,
it's hard to like you want to be like musically inclined in terms of like matching up, but at the same time you're like, I just want funny.
Like TLC doing War Pigs or something like that.
Marilyn Manson covering Levitating by Dua Lipa. Like
there we go,
Oh man.
Excellent. All right, what do you got next here?
All right, next I'm gonna go with Local H covering Alice in Chains' Rooster.
Ooh.
And so the reason why I wanted to do Local H is that Local H also has really good cover mixtapes that they've put out. So I think they put out one during the pandemic or not. Rox will probably know and correct me, but their covers are fantastic. They almost make it their own. They do their own thing. And I think a song like Rooster, even though Alice in Chains in comparison to Local H is a full ass band compared to two guys, but
right.
Like the most innovative thing about Local H is the bass pickups in the guitar, which at the time when Local H started, that was like not a thing. Like Scott Lucas actually was like one of the first people to actually do that.
Yeah.
So I think that he could fade his own spin onto it, and I think would make a really, really interesting cover.
That's a really good cover. Local H is great. Of course, the one that you put on the set list here. Of course, that album, man, when that first album came out, I mean, that was, and they're still a great, and I know you've seen them. How many times have you seen them?
A lot. I mean, I'd seen them a few times before I met Roxy, and then after meeting her, I think I've seen them like probably in the double digits at this point.
I'm pretty sure anybody that kind of grew up in Chicago going to concerts has seen I've seen Local H open, and I mean I like Local H. I never had a problem with them. I'm starting to appreciate them more as I get older, but I probably seen them 20 times, but I
can't remember, if I could be wrong. I think it was the Double Doink game, but they did the halftime show at Soldier Field. It was one of those Bears games that season, and like you said, man, I mean they're just entwined all into Chicago, which is
right. They are Chicago, yeah.
Oh yeah. But what else you got?
Okay. My next one, I'm gonna go. As some of you know, I am a large fan of They Might Be Giants. I've already mentioned it on the show once. Just kind of grew up loving them. Went and saw them a couple of years ago with Brandy, and they actually ended up doing like 2 sets because the opening act didn't show up. It was just a phenomenal experience to see them play pretty much everything. So I'm picking Particle Man. And it's gonna be covered by Andrew WK.
Ooh.
I don't think I've ever seen anybody on stage with more energy than Andrew WK. Like I'm not even like a huge fan of music, but that guy just moves, and he would take the pace, like the tempo of that song, and just take it from Particle Man to he's going to take it to 150.
Oh yeah.
like original versions at level 10, and Andrew WK is going to take it to 150. So I'm going to go with that because I just would love to see that. So
I wish you just saw a little while ago me walking with a stroller with my daughter playing Particle Man, because it's been a little while. That whole album I was actually listening to, a lot of good tracks.
that whole you know what, and I would tell anybody that wants to get into them, their newer stuff is actually pretty damn good too. So
that's actually really good. That's
I had
probably the next band I'll do a deep dive on, because I love bands with a lot of stuff.
I had a hard time, like when I was looking at the playlist and I saw Particle Man and Andrew WK, I couldn't figure out which way that was going to go. I figured that they were one was going to cover the other, but I was like, I don't know who it is, because like there might be Giants covering Party Hard.
Yeah.
Would also be great. Like, it's another like one of those like two ways.
Get the accordion moving, and
that's a good
out.
one. Yeah. My next one here is I'm going to have the Misfits, which the song I picked was, I kept going back and forth with Mommy, Can I Go Out Tonight and Where Eagles Dare, so I had to make sure which one I picked.
Eagles Dare is so good. That's what
that
might be my favorite Misfits song. Yeah.
And I'm going to switch it up, and I'm going to have the Pretenders doing Where Eagles Dare.
That's awesome. Holy shit. I didn't even think that's where you were going with those. Man.
Honestly, I want to be really honest with you. I got here somewhere. The amount of scratches off I did into what I wanted to do. There's some pretty crazy, amazing stuff.
That's when you're like, oh my God, I have to hear that. And it's still silly as hell too.
And I guess
a little bit
what it was earlier in the day. I guess the Pretenders are opening for Guns N' Roses at Wrigley Field. So like the Pretenders were like in my head.
What a weird combination, those two.
As soon as I always see your name, Andrew, I just think the Misfits, which is one of my favorite bands. So I'm like, all right, we got to mix some Misfits in here. So I was like, you know what? There we go. That's how we came up.
Have you ever seen them live?
The Misfits, that reunion tour that I think we've talked about before.
The one at Allstate?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I was at that show. That was great.
The one with Fear? I think Fear was
Fear was so good.
Yeah, Fear is the top notch, man.
Leaving. The man, the myth, the legend. All right. What do you
So this one is what I think out of all the ones I picked, I want to see the most out of anything. I've been high, obviously, on Ghost forever now, but that new album with the covers is fantastic. And I heard Queensryche Spreading the Disease, and I go, holy shit, Ghost would absolutely knock this out of the park, because it's got all the hallmarks of like a Ghost song. You have the not only structurally, musically is it cool, and then I know that like Tobias would play with it to the point where it sounded more like a Ghost song. But you have fast parts, slow parts, the lyricals, the lyrics. It's about a young woman who is thrust into the streets and then basically spreads a disease, gets saved by a priest, and then the priest takes advantage of her, and the disease spreads further. And it's everything that fits everything. There's enough sexy stuff going on. There's enough religion. There's enough really good guitar work. I think Ghost would absolutely destroy this cover. It would be the point where I'd probably listen to that exclusively over the original.
It's funny because when I was this morning while I was making breakfast, I actually listened to the playlist, and as soon as the Queensryche popped on, I'm like, yeah, Andrew's matching that shit up with Ghost. Like I knew it right away. But yeah, it's the exact type of song that they would cover. So yeah, it's a perfect choice.
Excellent choice. What are you going for with your last one here?
Okay, so grew up loving Beck a lot. He always seemed to reinvent his sound over and over and over again. One thing he never did was cover anything. If you listen to his voice, especially when he does what I call his sad bastard phase, or it's just like that kind of cowboy him in an acoustic guitar, his voice sounds a lot like Tom Petty. So I chose Beck to cover Tom Petty's Running Down a Dream.
Ooh.
And then just like imagine him putting all those weird percussive
Yeah.
items. I mean, I saw him do a live show once, and like half of it, he sat at a dinner table and played like a fork and knife on a fucking plate. So like, just outrageous stuff. But yeah, I figured, that would be a good matchup.
That's a really, really good matchup. Excellent.
I think like the cool thing about this pick that I think is that it's very like it's almost like the Johnny Cash Run in the Hills. Like Beck is going to strip it down
And make it his own.
and make it his own, and then all of the like just Beck and a drum machine that makes weird noises and all kinds of whatever he can do, bang pots and pans or whatever he can do to like get his sound around it. That would kill that song. It'd be great.
Right. He's basically like the new Tom Waits. Like he can transition anything into weird sounds, and whether it's with his voice or with his.
He does. Yeah, he's got different modes too, like you said.
Right. And he got into like electronica the last couple albums, and like it's still pretty cool. Like, and I'm not even like a big fan of that genre, but it's still pretty damn good. So
very, very, very awesome. That's a good pick. Got to get on this and get some of these bands to make some of these picks. This is right. Great.
I feel like Beck is such a perfectionist lunatic. I think he would never cover anything. So
no, you're absolutely.
That's his like fantasy dream as you're going to find. So
that's true. The last one I have, which is the band that we bought our first albums by, Faith No More, doing Sister Christian by Night Ranger. The reason I thought of this one is, first of all, their amazing cover of Easy. So I know they really can put the piano there in the front to get the song started. But with his weird voice or whatever, you know, when they go into that, when they go into the motoring part, and it just kicks right into motor, and he could do like the voices, and then he could just keep switching up voices and stuff like that. Got weird with this one. This was my weird.
It's a good one. I like it. I would love to hear that.
My weird pick here.
I got a little funny Faith No More story real quick. I used to watch a lot of those on YouTube. I used to watch a lot of those clips of vocal coaches, like listening to a live performance. And there was one that I really liked. I can't remember what her name was. This is a British woman. And like she watched Tool and she's like, this guy's a freaking genius. Like he can do things with his voice that unbelievable. And she listened to Faith No More and she's like, why is this guy singing rock? Like he should be doing fucking opera. Like the levels that he goes, like from low to high, she's like, I've never heard anybody do what Mike Patton can do. And you're like, this is funny. Like, you listen to, I mean, obviously if you listen to like Mr. Bungle, you can hear that a little more. And a little bit of Tomahawk too is like that. But Faith No More kind of had their wheelhouse, you know what I mean? It didn't allow him. That's why it was kind of cool that he kind of delved into other stuff, because I felt like almost it was like hamstringing him a little bit. Like it was keeping him down being in Faith No More, even though I fucking love Faith No More. But
no, you're absolutely right. Who he ironically also, to tell a story, is who I wanted. Like he was the first rock star I wanted to be. And I'll never forget, like my cousin was like, well, he's not cool enough, he pretty much told me. And I was like, well, fuck you, man. Which is hilarious because, I look back to those days and I was on to this guy being, pretty cool. He was pretty cool right off the bat, And then, like you said, that first Mr. Bungle album and everything else I'm
looking forward to seeing him at Riot Fest. I mean, I would rather see Faith No More or Tomahawk, but Mr. Bungle will be fun.
Tomahawk's good too.
I just saw the daily lineups for Riot Fest, and I'm like, I didn't jump on the early bird because I wasn't a big fan of the headliners, and I'm probably going to go to that Danzig show that Sunday. So it's like the full day of that, and then go do that, and have to go to work on Monday morning. So I'm kind of like, maybe I'll just do like Friday and Saturday. But I know that probably in the next like 2 to 3 weeks, I'm going to get like massive FOMO, and I'm just going to go.
I'm really looking to Friday because I like when the list came out, I was like, oh, I want to see the Breeders. I want to see Kim Gordon. I was a huge Sonic Youth guy. Well, as I get older, I'm huge. My sister is like the biggest Sonic Youth fan ever. I want to see Parliament because I haven't seen him in like 25 years. And then obviously seeing the Foo Fighters would be fun. I mean, I've seen the Foo Fighters, but seeing them again would be wild.
Really, really excellent.
And then obviously Saturday you got ICP and Corey Feldman. So.
ICP. You gonna bring the Fago out?
I hope that it's ICP followed by Corey Feldman.
They should play together. That would be
fun, like one super group.
I hope
Feldman posse or insane Corey posse for one night only.
I'm hoping to see those like 50-year-old juggalos walking around, man.
They have some of the best. Like when I lived in Virginia Beach, there was the house I lived in was on Old Dominion University's campus, and the people that lived in like the student living like apartments across the street from us. There was one there. They're all juggalos, and they all had names, and like it was great. Like they're some of the names these guys came up with each other was like they kept calling, like at the time they kept calling John McCain Dr. Hercules Pussy Fiend. And I'd be like, who are you talking about? They're like, the guy on the TV. I'm like, that's John McCain. I'm like, no, that's Dr. Hercules Pussy Fiend. And I'm like, what the fuck?
You know? He's a juggalo.
Yeah, like they literally had a picture of him in the full makeup, like a John McCain in the full makeup. It's Dr. Hercules B. Pussy Fiend. Like I was like, what the fuck is this? They're an exciting people. Like if I go, I will get one beverage and I will stand there and I'll watch it. And as soon as that beverage is gone, I'm gone.
In the late 90s, they put together, it was like their own like mini Ozfest. It came to Aragon Ballroom. It was them, Cold Chamber, Biohazard, and Mindless Self-Indulgence. I was only going for Cold Chamber because I really liked them at the time. We show up to Aragon Ballroom and Cold Chamber has dropped off the bill. So now it's just those guys, Biohazard, who I was like, okay, they're kind of heavy and mindless.
All right, yeah, what the hell? Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever heard of Mindless Self-Indulgence. I don't know.
They were big when I was in high school, and it was they're all terrible people. All terrible people.
Yeah.
But there was something about that like early 2000s, like it just hit really well because it was the start of those like kind of the like the merging of electronic music and metal together, where like you had them, and then on the other side of the spectrum, people who are fine human beings as far as I'm concerned. So as far as I know, so if I'm wrong, don't cancel me. But like Children of Bodom was putting like, you know, synthesizers into their metal music at that point, and it was something completely new and different. But Mindless Self-Indulgence, man, like I remember seeing some of the videos from those shows, and I was like, there's no way that you can't do that.
This can't be done.
This can't be done. Well, before we head out here, do you guys have any ones that we did not say off the top of your head?
I gave you the Reading Rainbow one.
Oh yeah, that was.
I didn't really prepare.
No, you don't have
more.
to.
No, but
like
with my show, we always do like a dump list.
No, you don't have to. I'm just gonna throw out some here. Like, okay, typo negative. Okay. You know, you would obviously want them to do something, you know, on the sunny side as opposed to the dark side to make it, you know,
shiny, happy people.
You know, like
negative.
You know, Stevie Wonder doing, you know, Can't You See by the Marshall Tucker Band would be really something that would show juxtaposition of different things. You know, Weird Al. Would anyone ever cover Weird Al? Is Weird Al coverable?
What if you covered Weird Al but changed the lyrics?
Ooh, there you go. There, that's a good one.
Like a sturgeon, and you just sing about fish.
Yeah. Imagine TLC doing Slayer songs. That could be.
I thought like one of them that I floated around was "Jungle Love" by Morris Day and the Time being covered by Limp Bizkit.
Oh,
that'd be perfect. The tempo would be exact. Yeah, they could even do it like note for like they could even do the exact same song instead of like twisting it at all. Like it would be...
like I thought of that. Call Me Little Sunshine by Metallica instead of Ghost. I thought of that for a minute because like the structure of the guitar riffs for that reminds me of Metallica. Like that was the first time that I heard it. I remember looking at Roxy and being like, "This sounds like Metallica." And like we collectively shit on it for like at least 25 minutes, and then it wound up being on the greatest Ghost album of all time. Like, you know.
Oh man. You
Well,
know,
thank you.
I
Oh,
briefly talked about on my show when we did the covers was Charles Bradley covering Ozzy Osbourne's Changes, and that's kind of the same ilk where it's just somebody from the absolute opposite end of the spectrum, musically just complete polar opposites, like creating
I
something.
think like even on top of the the polar opposite, like Richard Cheese and Lounge Against the Machine. Have you ever heard any of that?
Yeah,
It's fantastic.
Oh,
Like if
yeah?
I ever go to Vegas,
I actually saw
because he's
Stephen
got a
Eady
residency
once.
there, I gotta go.
I saw Stephen Eady play at a bar one night, which is like a famous lounge act. I don't know if you guys know. It's just an old man and his wife, and they've been. It's you know what? Actually, it wasn't Stephen Eady, but it was like a Stephen Eady cover band almost, and they did a cover of Black Hole Sun, and it was really good.
Well,
See,
that's
it's like Black Hole
Max
Sun,
Sabbath.
Max Sabbath.
Metalachi.
Metalachi.
We saw the what is it? Oakley Dokley, their last show in Chicago before they retired. That was actually a phenomenal show. We had a really good time.
That was the one with Max Sabbath and Metalachi, right?
No, it was at the
okay.
B Kitchen, and they were pretty much I think they were by themselves. I don't think they had an opening act, and it was just it's all Simpsons, Ned Flanders stuff. It's great.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, guys, for joining me.
Anytime, brother.
Anytime, dude.
Very awesome. You want to share anything, or should I just do all the shit?
I'm real quick. Tomorrow night, Yumper and Sfo are doing their pod. They're going to be talking about M. Night Shyamalan movies, so definitely hop on this network and check it out. There'll be some twists and turns in that episode. Get it? M. Night Shyamalan. And then tomorrow night, playback. Sam Reeves and I are doing the White Sox game, so we're basically playback slumber party. Because the game's not until like 9:15. So I'm still waiting to hear back from playback because I was having a problem getting it to stream. But we're hoping that'll be cleared up. And then next week I'll be doing a new episode of Getting Drafty. We're going to be doing sports movies. With actually Sam Reeves is going to be on that one. Tony, you're going to be on that one, and then Yumper. So that'll be a good time. Tuesday, 8:00 on the Sadistic Penguin Network. Like and subscribe. We're very close to 100 subscribers now.
Ooh. We are really close. Please like and subscribe.
Like
Thank you, Andrew, very much for joining, and thank you for bringing this awesome topic. We'll definitely do it again soon. Always love when stuff like this has had a really good time putting all this together. As my awesome Penguin man Brian said here, you can always find us on the Penguin Sadistic YouTube channel. Awesome stuff, as he said, is coming and is always dropping.
Mm-hmm.
You can find us on the Hookup On Music. You could find it on Twitter, and you could also find it on the Instagram, which my wife runs. And if I don't say that, she may get mad. I also am the Sugar Baggy, and you could find me sometimes there. And tell us if you enjoyed the list. Tell us some other songs that you would like to see covered, and very soon we will see you again. So until that time, everybody, thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your week.